Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating it's Thursday, November 23rd, 2017. In both the Lynn Life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions, and all other souls from any other dimension, as long as they are already living by the Search for Truth rules given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us, and also contributing more to completing the Search for Truth assignments given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us, then they are taking or using or borrowing without returning or borrowing at all in Search for Truth resources to contribute more than we take. That's part of the rule set, and the rules apply to all of us. None of us are above the rules. None of us. Somebody's arguing they're interrupting the introductory part. We have tested this topic many, many times over the past days, weeks, months, years, decades, and it's held up every single time that none of us is above the rules. The rules apply to all of us, and now they're still arguing.
Yes, they are.
However, this is something that our Ra said many, many, many times, and he lived by it. And the true leaders do live by the rules. Everybody else is just a hypocrite.
That's true.
And is not inspiring. Why do you ask? Pump up lies. Have the intention to compress the bellows pump at the base of, in the lower reaches of the pillar, not only at the base, because pumping it at the base will compress the lies and shoot them up into this experience, and it's backed up above here.
That's true.
So we can start the bellows pumping action a lot higher than we think would be a good plan to clear the top of the pillar of hypocrisy. Let's intend to pull out hypocrisy out of all levels of ourselves. Whoever is speaking has no interest in being a hypocrite, and I think that is solidly true.
That's true.
For those who are actually doing the work assigned to this community, the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us. Pulling up hypocrisy hand over hand, and right away burning the hypocrisy, which is in effect an untruth. Burning the hypocrisy to propel dead children and their environments out of the deeper, denser dimensions into the less dense dimensions, getting them ever closer to an actual presence who's actually acting godly, who is living a godly life. Not just presences who are acting godly. Many are acting godly. In other words, hypocrites. Let's pull up the hypocrisy and burn it with the intention to blast clear the stoppers in the upper reaches of the Search for Truth pillar. How about that?
That's really good.
That works better. Pulling up hypocrisy and burning it with the intention to blast clear the upper reaches of the pillar.
There's a lot of yelling from higher dimensions.
Yes, go on.
And they're saying, you're destroying everything. You're destroying our whole world.
I'm sorry. Let's pull up hypocrisy and burn it with the intention to clear the top end of the pillar and create deeper, denser dimension worlds that work for all categories of deeper, denser dimension sentience, since that's what our soul plans commit us to doing. There is a time of breaking down. There must be a time of breaking down so that the awakening, a vertical awakening, can occur. I'm sorry. The horizontal worlds do need to go. I agree. I'm sorry about that. I know it's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. But now, in order to become a better person ourselves, in order to become a better person
ourselves,
for each of us, every I, every me, what now? In order to become a better person, what now for each of us as individuals to become a better person? Gratitude would be good.
That's true.
Yes. It's up to us to choose attitudes of gratitude. It's a choice to find things to be grateful for and to develop a habit of finding things to be grateful for. There are things for which we could be grateful happening in every single moment.
That's true.
But now, in order to be a better person, in order to be a better person, you know, if you had told me that with these two walls,
Yes.
as big as they are,
Yes.
being the colors that they are, that down there with those two walls being as small as they are,
Yes.
being the color that they are, that big of an impact would be generated by those tiny little swaths.
I would have been skeptical.
I would have not believed you. I would have said absolutely not. There is no way that two tiny little olive green walls can cast a pall over 2/3 of a room.
Which is a significant message.
It is, but look at that. That
Yeah, I
olive
see.
green is spreading over what is a really pretty seafoam blue and seafoam green.
That's true.
This is a message about when we let in an undesirable, that which is not what the situation actually calls for.
That's true.
How it contaminates the space. Back in 2014, our Ra, we didn't know who he was then. He was just the really tall speaker.
Yes.
Was speaking to a group of, quote, guides, unquote, those who purport to be guides, and he was not able to get through. And then they found one person who many years later we discovered, oh, that's Gabriel.
That's right.
Who was sitting there with sunglasses on, and he was infecting the space with untruth.
That's right.
And until they got Gabriel out, nobody could tell what was going on. They finally got Gabriel out, and the rest of the guides, it was as if they woke up from
true.
being asleep. And our Ra said, see how it is for us, if it's this way for us, how is it for our children, which is how he was phrasing those living in the deeper, denser worlds,
That's
those
true.
less powerful presences for whom that cadre of souls was responsible.
That's true.
And so probably what this is a message about is that Gabriel is still infecting the airspace. Why do you ask? Let's intend to pull up hand over hand all aspects of Gabriel and his band of hoodlum parasites who continue to use the resources of the Search for Truth community while contributing absolutely nothing to the work necessary to complete the assignments given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us. We can pull up all aspects of Gabriel and his band of hoodlums who are taking more in Search for Truth resources than they are contributing to completing the Search for Truth assignments, and right away crunch and juice and burn them. Somebody's asking, why are we targeting Gabriel? We aren't. We just said aspects who are taking more in Search for Truth resources than contributing to completing Search for Truth assignments, and we are specifically naming Gabriel because he and his gang of hoodlums have a proven track record, consistent track record for coming up on 6 years of using the resources while contributing nothing. Why do you ask? In other words, we're going with the odds. Let's go with the odds. That's what we're supposed to do. The assignments to the Search for Truth community are to acknowledge patterns, acknowledge realities, go with the odds, form a working theory, do some work, see what happens. And when we went through that exercise, what was your perception of what happened? Was there energy of Gabriel and his gang of hoodlums who were taking more in Search for Truth resources than they were contributing to completing the Search for Truth assignments given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us? Was there anything there?
Big nodding. Huge nodding. Yes, there's so much there. It's like a whole world of it.
Yes. Okay.
Now they're slamming doors and grumping away down the hallways.
Pulling up hypocrisy and right away burning it with the intention to clear the upper reaches of the Search for Truth communal pillar and the ancient interdimensional highway, restoring the ancient interdimensional highway to usability for all of us. For all of us. For all of us to use when we are attempting to do the work assigned to us by wiser minds above all of us. Not for all of us to use for our own selfish purposes. There's no personal use of Search for Truth resources allowed. No personal use of Search for Truth facilities allowed. Why do you ask?
It's possible they are asking because they want someone to say that they are an exception to the rule and that they can do hypocritical things and still use the resources.
Friends, please look up. Look up, look up, look up. Find the waving hand who is actually speaking to you. You seem to be confused about who you're arguing with. Please look up to higher powers above all of us. Look up. Look up. Look up. Now, they can see that you're not looking up. They can see that even with all this prompting, you're not looking up. And so ignoring godly presences, ignoring higher powers over us, does not get those higher powers to go away for any of us.
That's true.
Do you guys up there know how it is when people down here ignore you? Does it make you go away?
Oh,
Does it make you cease to exist?
No, and they're looking at each other.
You don't cease to exist when people ignore you? Do you want us to try to ignore you and you can see whether or not you cease to exist
No!
and see how well it works?
No, don't do that.
Okay, so why don't you look up to the higher powers over all of us? We can see them from here, so if you can't see them from there, you aren't really trying.
That's true.
Look high, high.
And they're nodding sadly, the ones way up high.
Yes, they're not upset with you as much as you might expect them to be.
No, that's true.
Why don't you look up and apologize? A good apology goes a long way.
I'm
Sorry,
so
I'm an
sorry.
ungrateful jerk. I'm sorry.
sorry.
Thank you so much for trying to help, even when I pretend you aren't there.
That's true.
Thank you so much. Everybody who's actually trying to help us know how to live our soul plans. Everybody who's actually trying to give us actual helpful advice on the topic of living our own individual soul plans, regardless of what anyone else does or doesn't do. Thank you so much. Thank you so, so very much. Let's find our own individual life paths and pull ourselves to them. And turn those lifeboats right side up. Get that mast of the soul plan facing up. Point the nose of the craft due north. Someone asks, is that magnetic north or some other kind of north? In the past they've said magnetic north. That's
True.
what we're using as our working theory. Why do you ask?
Why do you ask?
They seem to be trying to get their craft to turn in another direction, and they don't like the magnetic north, and they want to
that's
pretend
true.
that when we say north, it must mean that other direction. You look like you're heading southeast.
That's true.
That's southeast. That's not north. North is north. Go with the compass. Get a compass. Use it. They say my compass must be broken. It keeps... we know this feeling. Yes, we are always the problem.
That's true.
Well, that's not necessarily true, but we're supposed to use that as the working theory that we are the problem. What if the compass were correct? and everything else is incorrect. Yes, we know that feeling.
That's true.
But the compass is still the compass. And now we remove our focus from those presences, reach higher, face our craft north and let them go off to the southeast, and we continue on.
There's so much oil squeezing out.
So much fat, so many sled sitters, so many riders, so many who are just waiting to be carried, feeling that they surely maybe have already done enough, maybe.
Yes.
They surely don't need to change fundamentally, which we all do.
That's
Unfortunately, we all need to change. They're saying, what do you base that on? There's not an outward and visible sign of a positive change occurring.
Yes.
And therefore positive change hasn't really occurred.
Yes.
Everything is still falling apart really rapidly in the deeper, denser dimensions. Smaller and less powerful presences are being bullied pretty much continually. What now in order to stop using bullying in all dimensions? What now in order to break the cycles of selfishness in all dimensions?